Welcome to the Gary Pascoe Show, sponsored by Your Instant Replay. Don't forget, if you want matchday footage, highlights, get in touch with yourinstantreplay.co.uk, book your games in. Their team will turn up with all the top equipment for filming and you'll receive everything that day. Also, any wall or floor tiling needed, get in touch with these guys, the specialist marble, stone and porcelain installers. They cover the southeast of England. You get your free estimates. Call them on 07943 734 937. So, who is my guest on tonight's show? It's Billy Wood, the CEO at Hastings United. Good evening, Billy, and thanks for joining me tonight.
No, thanks for having me on, Gary. It's my pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Right, let me just get the viewers know a little bit about yourself, because I hope you don't think I'm being rude. First time I met you, I've looked into what you're doing. You've done a lot of great things, and let's try and get this out to the people out there.
Yeah, sure.
So, you started off in the music business, then you were Eastbourne United chairman, and then Hastings United came knocking and asked you to be their CEO. You're only 35 years of age. You've done a lot in that time, mate.
Yeah, I have. Sometimes I feel like I'm ready for retirement. But it's been a really interesting ride. It really has, and obviously now dedicating my time to football. But I think doing so, it's been very interesting, and it's been an eye-opener, that's for sure. And I thought the music business was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
So imagine what football's like.
Right then, let's get stuck into it then. Yeah. Let's go back to where you started. You got involved in the music business. So how long were you in it for, and what were you doing in it?
So I'll really wrap this up, because it's like it will take about 5 hours if we go into it. But to start off, I became a music agent in 2007. So I was at university in Canterbury.
Wow. And
I was helping book bands. I wanted to make a bit of money whilst I was a student, so had no money as you are. You want your beer tokens. You want to be out to go out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I thought, well, I need to start doing stuff. So I started helping out with the Students' Union, and I actually ran for election to become the entertainment officer at the uni, and I actually ran up against the comedian Rob Beckett.
Oh right.
So yeah, it was actually me and Rob who ran for the place, and I actually beat him. So it's the one time I've done better than him in his career, because now he's on TV, and I'm with you, Gary, no disrespect. But, I won that election, and then I helped book the summer ball. And doing so, I had to speak to agents. And I actually wanted to be a football agent. That's what I wanted to be when I was at uni. And this whole music thing, I had a good ear for music. And I just asked, what's a music agent? Long story short, the guy said, look, here's an email address. You can work for me 50-50 in commission, and I'll try and help you out. It helped me out a little bit, but I just drove with it, and then I found a band in 2007, and they went on to go and sell, millions of albums, being platinum selling acts, and that was End Ups. And from there I ended up signing a lot of the UK urban acts, and that was the start of my career.
Wow. Yeah. And what were you studying at uni? Was it media or whatever?
I think it was beer studies, really. I studied business studies with marketing. That's what I was studying, and this isn't. To all the kids that want to go to uni, definitely do it and pay attention. I ended up going for 3 years, and I spent more time doing stuff with the football team and the uni than I really did my studies, and I blagged the 2-1. I don't know how, but I did. And doing so, I just think university really was more of a life opener for me, and kind of made me more hungry to do stuff and get stuff done than really the actual degree. The degree was great. I learned a lot of marketing tools from it, but without a doubt, it was the life studies more than anything else.
Yeah. And you must have some brilliant experience in the music business, no doubt. Anything really stands out in your mind?
Yeah. So I looked after a bunch of acts. I had a couple of Brit Award wins with Tiny Temper. I won countless Mobile Awards with all my acts, like Best Newcomer, Best Singles, throughout the years from 2007 to I think 2015, 16. I literally had a winner every year. Also won a BAFTA with Adam Deacon. We won the Rising Star BAFTA. And I got to have one of my acts, Run DMC. I brought Run DMC back and actually had them headline a bunch of festivals, which was amazing. So yeah, I've done a lot, but I always want to do more. I can't help myself. I have to if I've got a project on, even though I want to complete it, I actually want to then, what more can I do? Yeah. So I could have easily sat back in the music industry. Yeah. And I was speaking to someone today actually, and I said, I was at a company called WME, William Morris Endeavour, which is one of the top Hollywood agencies, and I could have, and I was very comfortable with that company and happy. I could have stuck there and rode out a 20, 30, 40 year career as a music agent. But I just wanted to do something different. I always want to do something. I don't want to regret life. That's my thing.
Sure. Just on another question about the music industry, what do you think of these? Like you sound like it's raw music that you're into, the raw part of it.
Yeah.
All this Britain's Got Talent and all this sort of thing. Are you happy with that?
I've had a few experiences with it. So I've had acts that I represent audition for those shows.
Okay.
And I put a girl group together and we try to go for X Factor. So I'm not against it totally.
Sure.
But it definitely served its purpose. Has that time passed? Probably. I think now with social media, Instagram, the way you can connect on like things like Twitch and TikTok now, I think music's consumed in a completely different way than it probably was even 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the way you used to buy music has changed completely. iTunes used to be obviously physical, so you used to buy CDs. Then from there it went on to like streaming, so iTunes buying your 79p single.
Yeah.
And now if you've got an iTunes or a Spotify account, you can stream anything you want at any time. So everything's kind of changed.
Yeah.
So the conventional way of music's gone, and I think right now it's an open game for people, and I probably got out at the right time.
Well, funny enough, my next question was, then when you left the music business, you got involved with Eastbourne United as their chairman.
Yeah.
So how did you fall out of love with the music business, and how did that come about?
Well, I still stayed. I was still in. So in a weird way, I left one company, went to another, and then took the Eastbourne United job on. So as a kind of a voluntary role, but as you know, and as I'm sure anyone that you speak to about football, it's regardless if you're making £1 million or nothing out of it, it's 24/7, 7 days a week, and you can't get away from it.
Sure.
So I took Eastbourne United on. So look, I'm going to quickly rewind because this will take into the Hastings thing. But in 2015, or 14, 15, one or the other, I tried to buy Hastings United myself.
Yeah.
And I did it anonymously through my lawyer. Now, the owner at the time, Dave Waters, rejected my offer because he thought it was from someone else that he didn't like.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to get Hastings. I'll look around. So I started speaking to a lot of different clubs, and I saw that Eastbourne were in a bit of trouble. They started their season quite poorly. They even couldn't field a team for one game. And I liked the vibe at the club, and I liked the people there. So I tried to buy them, actually. Before becoming chairman, I presented them with an offer to buy the football club.
Yeah.
And we had the meeting, went well. They came back to me and said, look, we're not going to accept your offer. And I was gutted. I was thinking, spent the last 5-6 weeks coming to every single game, getting to know everyone just to get ready to take over. They said, but we want you to become chairman. So I was like, hold on a minute. So you don't want my money, but you want me to do everything I said without taking my money? Brilliant. Do that all day long. I'll take that.
Right.
So I took them on. And the reason I left music shortly after that wasn't so much more my falling out of love with music. It was probably because my burning passion to succeed in football. I've always looked at how to run football clubs from a very young age. So at Hastings there was another club called St Leonard's, which was just on the hill, right?
Yeah.
And that went down for a minuscule amount of money, like a VAT bill. I think it was like 12. Don't quote me on this, but 12 to 20 grand. That's all it was, right? And I was always amazed how a club that I quite liked, and I used to go and watch quite a bit, could go out of business for such a little amount of money. So I was always intrigued in how football clubs were run. I used to read books. I read the book on the Weymouth chairman who took over and brought Steve Claridge in. I read the great Simon Jordan book, which is a great read if anyone's a fan of him or not. It's an interesting read. So I've always been intrigued by it. And I've been around football, like I was a very substandard player myself, but I've always been around it, known locally to people in football, and I don't know, I just always wanted to do something. So when I went to Eastbourne, it was more about not proving myself, but yeah, actually probably like in the music business, I've always tried to prove myself and get to the next level. Like I'm ambitious.
Yeah.
So I think the Eastbourne thing wasn't me falling out of love with music, but it was me engaging in my love for football on a deeper note, really.
In next project, like
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Did they give you a reason why they didn't want to sell to you, Eastbourne United?
Yeah, and probably a good reason because I was on there for a year. But they wanted to keep it as a community interest sort of club. So they had that club's run a bit differently. So you've got the bar, so you've got the social club that's ran like a pub. And there was a bit of disconnection between the bar, how the bars ran, and how football's ran. So when I went in there, and this is no disrespect to the characters, because actually getting to know them, they're all good. They're all had their hearts in the right place, but actually were in the wrong jobs.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
So I went in, and I noticed that the barman, all he really wanted, even though he helped out, all he cared about was the bar, right?
Yes.
And you had a treasurer who really cared about what happened on the football pitch and wanted to be the kit man, the wrong person for the treasurer role.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we had a situation where the secretary couldn't do it anymore, so we need to find a secretary. So when I went in, I looked at it and I looked at it and went, right, okay, this club to survive, you just need to move people around. So, and all those people are still pretty much there, but we moved the treasurer to the secretary role because he was interested in that.
Sure.
We moved someone who was very good at finance into the treasurer role, which is common sense, right?
Yeah.
And it was just a case of trying to get things rejuvenated and exciting in the background, so making people kind of reconnect with the club and want to do their jobs, but also do the right jobs as such, which sounds like such a little thing, but at football clubs at that level and below, anyone who puts their hand up and says, I'll do it, it's like, well, bloody, yes please, because it's a volunteer, and you take as many volunteers as you can just to get the jobs done, not even if they're that good at the job.
Of course.
So we did a lot of that. I also came in and on the pitch, and it was a bit of a shambles. Before I got there, the manager left in the summer, and then the current manager that was in wasn't right for the job, and I actually really get on well with him now. Like, he's a good lad, but he just weren't right for the job. So I didn't want to be that chairman coming in and then stamping my authority and going, well, you're out the door.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, I just waited and I said, look, we pulled him in for a meeting. I said, how many points do you think you can get in the next X amount of games? They gave me a number, so that was it. That was like, hit the number, you're right. Don't, you don't. The number couldn't be hit, and we changed management. And it was a ride and a half that season, being bottom of the league with 1 point and going on that run.
That, I don't know nothing about Eastbourne United, to be fair, but some clubs aren't ambitious enough to keep going forward. Some clubs are just quite happy to be going where they're going. They're enjoying their football. Nothing wrong with that at all. They enjoy their football, and they enjoy just doing what they're doing. So I'm not saying they did do that, but Eastbourne United might have been like that.
Yeah, I think what happened was, and I think I found this at Hastings as well, and a lot of clubs. You're right, but sometimes it's a bit of an old boys club. No disrespect to them at all, because they do great work.
Of course they do. Understand that.
But the fear of letting young people in, I think, hinders them, because they're all young people at one point coming into football, and you hear it a lot. Well, I've been around for 30 years, or I've been around for 20 years, or I've been around for 50 years, and that's great. But if you don't let people in, what happens when one day you can't do it, or you feel, or you fall ill, or you've not taught someone the role, and then, God forbid, you get run over by a car. Like, who's going to take over that role?
Good example is the National League. That's happening now. Their board is trying to be kicked out, and because to move on and get younger blood in and get better ideas. So but you are. I know you were born in Croydon, or brought up in Croydon.
I was, But
that Eastbourne, you went down there. That's your hometown, is it?
Hastings is my hometown. Yeah. So I was born in Croydon, and I lived in Croydon until I was 9, and then I moved down to Hastings. And it was one of those things when you're a kid, when you're from like London, you look at the seaside. It's like going to Mallorca. It really is.
Yeah, I know.
And I loved it. And when I moved down, it was like being on holiday 24/7.
Sure.
It weren't like being in my granddad's caravan anymore. It was actually having a house that you could see. I had this window, and I moved in right behind this boat building in Hastings. It's a big boat building right in the middle of St Leonard's, and we had a little flat sort of kind of house masonette thing, and the top window literally was about this big, right? And you could just see, if you looked out of it, just see the sea. And that for me, me being a lad from New Aden in Croydon, which if anyone knows,
I'm
very
from Croydon.
Very rough area, very poor. Let's be honest. And to be able to get that was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously Hastings, they ended up coming knocking and asking you to be their CEO. So. How did that come about? Because there was a bit of fireworks, like 3 directors left when you joined. What was all that about then?
So, Eastbourne United, so what happened was that season I took over, like I said, when I came in, I had 1 point. I think when I changed the manager, we had 2 points. we were 13, 14 points away from getting out of relegation. We had half the season left, but we managed to stay up on the last day of the season. 85th minute winner by Sam Willett, I'll give him that little nod there. And we stayed up. And I think Eastbourne would have... It's funny because Eastbourne Town, by far, are the better team out of the two, right? In the division and in the town. And they would batter Eastbourne United. But because of the rise of Eastbourne United and what we were trying to do on a marketing level and the things we were doing, we were getting all the column inches in the paper, right?
Sure.
So I guess we were ruffling feathers, I can imagine, just from what we were trying to achieve. And I remember when we survived, it was a big splash in the paper. Is this the greatest survival in Eastbourne football history? And I can imagine people probably a bit pissed off with that. I don't know if I can say it on here, but a bit pissed off with that. And I think Hastings has had its own issues in the past, and has had that kind of that level of, I don't know, kind of like you said, like ticking along, not doing anything wrong, but just ticking along. And they were brought by Darren Burney in 2015, Darren Burney and Peter Sherlock, and ultimately to build a new stadium, to create a new stadium for Hastings United, for longevity for Hastings, and look after the club and kind of go away. Before I came in, I interpreted Darren and Peter as two Essex builders that wanted to make a pound note at Hastings and flip it.
Oh, right, yeah.
However, I was approached by an individual who said, look, Hastings are looking to bring in someone, shake it up, you've done great at Eastbourne, would you be interested? And I said to them, the only club I would actually leave Eastbourne United for at the time would be my hometown club, Hastings United. So I took the meeting with Darren, we had a great meeting, I told him what I thought, which he liked. Listening to him, I got a different perspective on Darren and what he wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
I think he was just a bit fed up because he was putting money in and he was just trundling along, and I think he wanted a bit of fireworks and a bit of excitement and the club to move forward. And I told him what I would do if I came in. He liked it, and I was brought in. So I was brought in as the chief exec to keep the current chairman in and keep the idea was never to replace any directors.
Stay there,
Everyone to stay where they was. I was going to come into day-to-day manage the football club, and that was it. So press release comes out, great, brilliant, and then I have my meeting with the directors, which is a bit of a weird one because I sit down with everyone in the room, right? So I'm in a room like this, in the bar actually. So I'm in a room, we're around the table, and I sit there with, at the time, Tony Cousins, who was the secretary, who has done a massive service to football, so I don't want this to seem disrespecting to anyone who's in that room.
No, of course.
Dave Nesson the same, done great for both Hastings United Town and then obviously Eastbourne Borough. Dave Ormerod, who is currently our president now, who's such a great guy. Hayley Clout, who's still a director. Hayley wasn't there, Joe Nesbitt was there, and Pat McCrossan was there. And we're all sitting in a room, and I literally say, I'm coming in, I won't do nothing for 6 months. I will sit on my hands and be a sponge, get to know you guys, get to know how this club's run, and then we'll start putting a plan in action for how we want to move things forward.
Sure.
I get asked a question which I felt was quite loaded, right? So, now that you're in at the football club, will you be involved in a football? So I'm sitting there thinking, that's a bit of a weird question. But I was like, well, yeah, I will be, but we have a football manager for that. It's not our job, any of our jobs to get involved in football. That's his job. He picks the team. If he wants the player, then it's his job to come to us, and as long as it fits in budget, it's great. But if I'm managing the day-to-day operations of our football club, of course, I'm going to be involved in the football. That's when all the fireworks started, and then it was one of those things, well, I'm resigning, well, if they're going, I'm going too, sort of thing. And you take it and you go, well, Jesus, I've just walked in, like, this is not going to look good. So, like, all the old supporters are going to be thinking, who's this 30, at the time I was 33-year-old, walked into our football club and upset the dynamic. Oh, good. It's actually the owner calling me now. Sorry about that. You can edit that if you want.
He's watching this and he's saying, thanks very much.
No, but what are you saying on there? keep that in there. Oh, yeah, I like that. But I was like, Jesus Christ. So I walked out of the meeting thinking, and I'm actually, funny enough, the person just called me. I called and I was like, Darren, you're not going to believe it. I thought, this is my first day in the job pretty much. and they left. So we talked about it. They decided to resign. We accepted the resignation. And then the one thing I probably regret from that is when the paper called me about it, they asked me what I felt, and I said to them, I feel that them leaving is naive. And I know the word naive can be interpreted in many different ways, but what I meant by that, and I've said it many, many times since, is regards to the word naive, is they should have not walked out at that time, but gave it time to settle and see how I came in.
Sure,
and see if they enjoy it. Because I'm coming in, there was some fans that were absolutely over the moon because maybe they didn't get on with the old regime, and there was other fans thinking, oh my God, our club's going to be destroyed. This guy's got no experience. He's only been at Eastbourne United. He don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I had a lot to prove, in my opinion. And I know what it's like. You drive in, and I get a bit of banter about it, but I had a Porsche 911, so I was driving. So like it's that he flows this Flash Herbert who comes in and does this, right? So that'll happen. Fireworks happen. I thought, you know what? Number one for me is to just not ignore it, address it, and move on quickly. And hopefully, Chris and his team will win games of football and allow me to do my job off the pitch.
Sure. Yeah. Do you feel like you're a little bit like Marmite? Some people like you and some people don't like you, or have you not found that?
I think what happens is, Gary, to be honest, with regards to people who don't like me, I think people can perceive me in two ways, right? They can either look at social media and think, oh, he's outspoken and whatnot, or they actually can sit and speak to me and get my opinions on things. Because all I really actually want to achieve is Hastings United as a football club is attached to our town in the community and delivering for the community and growing the footballing, not even the footballing experience, but giving kids the opportunity to progress, building on what's been done in the past, like with the academy and what Chris does by producing players. That's what I've wanted to do, right? So yeah, I'm outspoken because I've got a decent audience to speak to, so I've got a decent following on like Twitter and stuff, and that's great. But also, people do want to take sly digs because people don't always like success as well.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is, I was successful in the music business, and I'm very proud of that fact, right? I'm very proud, and I'll never sit there and just ignore the fact that I was successful in music.
Sure.
But at the same time, I will speak to anyone. Like, if anyone knows me at football games, I'll go around and speak to every single fan. Like before COVID, I would shake everyone's hand. I'll walk around. I'll drive into the ground, get out of my car, and walk around the grounds and talk to every single person, like every fan. Go into the bar, chat to every member of staff, know every member of staff's name, because that's another thing. Someone came to me and said, "Bloody hell, Billy, you've gave us a polo shirt. They didn't even know my name a year ago."
Sure.
I'm like, well, I want to know. Like, you don't do it for money. You're doing it for love of the club. You know, pulling up and being able to undo your windows and say hello to Greg and Stuart and Rob and you know and Dave and all the stewards who do the work that they do, and know their name and give them that respect to have a chat with them. I think is so important. So I don't mind when people don't like me. I think I'm only Marmite because I'm probably haven't got 25 years of footballing experience. So people go, well, what does he know?
Sure.
And I think the proof for me is in the pudding with what Hastings United is doing now as a club on levels of marketing, on merchandise. Like, for example, our retail spend has completely changed. It's like it's dramatic. If I showed you a spreadsheet, you'll be amazed. It's that dramatic.
Sure.
It's just about looking at it and going, what can we do to be better? What's that? And me and Chris say it. I'll speak to me and the manager, get on like a house on fire. Have a great relationship with Chris, and we always talk about, well, what's the 1%? What more can we do to be better? And that's whether it's putting a lick of paint in the change rooms, or whether it's changing the dugouts around to be a certain size because we feel that's better, it serves us better. I'm willing to accommodate people, and I think so many people have been used to no, oh, you can't do that because that doesn't work, or that never will work in football, or well, I've done this for 15, 20 years, that will never happen with the league. Well, I want to challenge it a little bit. I want to ask. I want to ask a question and challenge. And I've rubbed Nick Robinson up the wrong way in the Eastman League. I have, because I was very vocal about null and void. But also at the same time, I'll pick up the phone and have a chat with Kelly at the league.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly get on incredibly well, and she'll tell me, "Oh, Billy, like maybe you shouldn't have said it like that." And I'm like, "Okay," and I'll take that on board as well. I'm not gonna sit there and go, what I think is always right.
Yeah.
Nah, never. I can be wrong, and there's going to be moments, and there has been moments where I have been wrong, and I like to be proved wrong a lot, because I'm not professing I'm an expert, but what I'm professing is I will, for as long as I'm running Hastings, and with the ambition to, because with all due respect to Hastings level, I don't want to personally be operating at step 4 non-league football. That's not my ambition.
Your goal.
No, not at all.
No,
like I fought from the bottom at music to the very top, and got to the very top quick. And whilst that might have been a complete fluke. I might have found the right act at the right time and fluked it. That might have been exactly it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I delivered not just one act; it was multiple. So I proved the proof was in the pudding.
Mm.
And I think for me with football, right now, I can't shout about the promotions of Hastings United, because they've been taken away from us. But that will be the proof in the pudding for us when we go up the leagues. We're attracting players based on the club. To be honest, based on what Chris and his coaching staff do, because they play attractive, beautiful football.
We're going to go on to Chris now, actually, funny enough.
Right.
Yeah, because obviously he's been there 3 years, and he's just signed a new 2-year extension in January. So obviously, as you just said, your relationship with him is brilliant, and he's a great lad, Chris Agutta. He loves playing football the right way. He's a good coach. The players that have come through and gone on, you know what I mean? It's proven already. So he's a decent man, and his coaching staff are a decent team. So, like I say, the relationship must be brilliant.
Well, yeah, and you said about the coaching team, apart from Pete Heritage, a very, very young coaching team. Like, you know, they're in their mid-20s, a lot of them. And I think, I'm not saying, and I don't buy into the whole, dinosaurs and rule football, and I don't buy into that, because I think there's a place for knowledge. Respecting your elders is massive, and I think I've done it where, funny enough, only the other day I bumped into one of the old fans, a guy called Harry Aslett, and I sat and he talked to me a lot about what happened in like the 80s and listening to it, I think it's so valuable.
Yeah.
But this young generation, it's natural, evolution's there, and I think we can't stop that. So at Hastings, we don't, and it's not about age, it's about if you can do the job. And I think my relationship with Chris it's all about trust, right? I trust, as long as he trusts me and I trust him, we'll be fine. Mm. And I think that's what we have on abundance, is trust and belief. And when we're looking at players, or we're looking to maybe go into the market and buy someone rather than just try and get them through the door on a pay-as-a-play deal sort of thing, we'll talk about it and go, well, like, what can we do with that? How can we make that happen? Or I might say to him, do you think that's the right player, and challenge it. And that's not me telling him what to do.
No.
But it's me challenging, and then he'll challenge me. And I like that. And I think we should be able to sit in the office for hours upon end. And he likes it. He likes me going, okay, that training session, I really like this. What was that all about? Because I don't profess to be a coach, but I'm willing to learn and take things on in all areas, because I want to. I want to get better and have a better understanding.
Be rounded.
100%. Like, because I'm the top of the chain at Hastings, and because I run the club, doesn't mean I can't learn from people at the club, right? I can. That's the whole point, right? And Chris has signed a 2-year deal. Do I think? Obviously, people say, well, you know, without promotions on the CV, you can't go up the leagues. A fair point from a lot of people, but do I think Chris is an Ishman League South East manager? No, I think he's proven himself at that level for a long time now, and he deserves to go up and challenge himself at a high level of football. And I'm just hoping that Hastings, we can take Hastings on the journey, and there's no reason Chris can outsee his 2-year contract at Hastings, sign another 2-3-year contract, and get us into the National League, because that's our aim.
Sure, of course it is. Because they are a sleeping giant, no doubt,
Massive.
no doubt about it. I know that word is used quite often, but quite often sometimes. But they are a sleeping giant.
100%.
They're a town with a football team in it.
Yeah.
I see that you were getting 600 supporters in, was it last season or the season before?
I'll give you an example. So when I walked into the club, I think we're getting around 300 people.
That's right, yeah.
About 300 people, and big town, 100,000, roughly around 100,000 like population around that kind of geographical area.
Yeah.
So I think, well, if we can get 1%, then got a base to build on. So that was always been my thing, right? What can we do? What's the little things that we can get to? So we started marketing the club. So a lot of the time, Hastings United felt to me like if you weren't part of it, walking through them gates was tough. So if you didn't know anyone, walking through the gates as a supporter was quite tough. It wasn't like going in and the atmosphere was like buzzing. You're walking into quite a cold atmosphere. So we're like, right, do you know what? We're gonna make it more family led. So we did a lot more marketing around that to get people through the gates, and we changed it. So on average it was around the 606 mark or something like that. But if we carried on the season how we were going, in February it was us versus Ashford United, which sadly was our second loss of the season. Which is an absolute nightmare, but we had 1,200 people in the ground.
Sure. In
February, not end of season party, February, right? Yeah. So we were getting to the point, and then even though we lost 3-0, we had 800 turn up for the next game, and then we kept it at that level, and there would have been no doubt if we were top of the league like we was, and going into the last 5 home games of the season, we'd have had 1,000 people, 1,500. I think we'd have ended up winning the league in front of 3,000 people. Because that's what happens with our town. When people get excited, people are in it and excited and want to be part of it and want to grow with it. And I think that for me is why Hastings is a sleeping giant, because now we've connected with the town, people know what we're about and who we are. Sure. And I know it. I walk into the local Tesco's to go and buy my roast on a Sunday, and if we played, someone go, "Oh, well done! Yeah, that was great seeing you lot yesterday. Brilliant up there. I had a great time up there with my kids. Took my kids out. It was great." Sure. And you think to yourself, that's what. It's not about me getting recognised in Tesco's. That's it. That's by the by. It's people complimenting Hastings United. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So obviously the last 2 seasons have been frustrating.
Yeah,
obviously with none and void because not the season just gone. The season before you were top.
Yeah.
I think you were about 5 points clear or something like that. Played. I can't remember how many games you played now.
10 left.
10 left.
Yeah.
And then this season you've only played about 7 or 9.
No,
so this season may be we really don't know how this season would have panned out. Obviously.
I think we would. I thought we would have gone unbeaten this year.
Yeah.
I genuinely. I know it sounds. So I'm gonna put my phone aside so we don't get any calls. I genuinely think we would have gone. I know it sounds mad to say, and it's easy to say with no games to play, right? But we were so powerful, so had that aura about us. I genuinely thought that as a club we could have gone on that season. We wouldn't have won every game. We would have drawn a bunch.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't concede goals, right? And we used to go into games, and I genuinely had that feeling that we're never going to concede. So I thought we were on the league this year quite comfortably.
Well, this season coming, the new season coming up, obviously you've got to be. I think you must be favourites because I look at that league. You got Ashford. You just mentioned them in not Middlesex, but Kent Ashford. Whiteleaf have lost their manager Harry. He's gone.
Yeah, it's a massive shame for them.
Yeah, big loss. I'm just thinking who else is up there. VCD maybe. There's not many teams.
No, well you got East Grinstead with throwing quite a lot of cash around.
But yeah, so. But you must be favourites this season, and
I hope so, yeah.
And obviously you're going to be pushing to get up into the Ithmin Prem.
Well, look, I think we wear it bad. A lot of clubs look at like being top of the table or being favourites as pressure. I think, but we wear a bit of badge of honour. Like we kind of like the fact that clubs don't like to come down and play us, or they want to roll us over. Like that. That's exciting. It's exciting in the director's box, let alone on the pitch. You know, it's nice. I don't go to, and by the way, very welcome in a lot of the committees, and obviously COVID this year has been tough, isn't it? You can't do the ballroom stuff, and we always welcome people in, and they welcome us. But I don't go, Gary, I'll tell you this, I don't go away to have a cup of tea in the ballroom and a biscuit and have a chat and a chinwag. And I think that's the point you made earlier about a lot of these clubs just tick over, and it's their Saturday away from their wife, right? They can get away, hide at the football. For me, as arrogant as it sounds, and it's not meant to come from an arrogant place, it's coming from a competitive place. I want us to go there, have our fans be the loudest in their ground with our drum, making as much noise as possible, and us nick 3 points. That's all. Like, so I think that the tag of favourites can be worn as a pressure, but for Chris and his players, especially with like a change room of like your Gary Elphick and your Sammy Adams, you're wearing it as a badge of honour. Like, come on then, right, let's see what we can do today. Let's have a look. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, and also you've got an academy that's been going for 8 years now, and it's growing and growing and growing. So, how is it growing?
Yeah. So I'm going to give Dean White and Ben White a lot of credit for this. So when they came into the football club, they came with an idea of setting up a college program for 16 to 19-year-olds, and they tell me the stories when it started, the rag and tag players that they had turn up, and it was really about just getting 11 boys on a pitch rather than developing good players. And over time that's improved and improved and improved. They brought Chris in 2016-17, I think, to oversee the academy. So Chris is not only our first team manager, he also runs the academy, like the 16 to 19 academy section. But what we've done since I've come in, we looked at it, and the academy, the actual Hastings Academy, like the youth section, let's just say, from 13 to 16-year-olds, was run by a separate business. It was Hastings United by name and close in contact, but wasn't part of the club.
But separate.
Yeah, so I straight away said, look, it doesn't sit well with me. It should be in the club. We brought it into the club this year. We lowered the age bracket, so we started a 9s, 11s and a 12s. And we want to attract more of that. We're now delivering sessions every Saturday for free to the community, for 3 to 6-year-olds. So we pay for all the coaching staff, the facility hire, because obviously right now we're doing it on the pilot field because there's no real football, right?
Yeah.
But normally we go and pay for a facility.
Sure.
And on our cost, they come along, 3 to 6-year-olds, have a kick around, enjoy football, enjoyment, and feel attachment to the club and like what they're doing, and hopefully either come and play for our 7s when they can, or even become supporters and come down and enjoy the atmosphere at the ground. And I think with producing players, there's no denying that. I think you only have to look at, like, for example, the ones that have gone recently, from Jamie Fielding before I got here, to Ben Ward, who went to Burnley, to David Radari, who we sold in January, and like players like Tom Chalmers, who is right now, we're getting scouts left, right and centre called us to have a look at Tom. He's gone a couple of trials so far. Don't want to be sending him on any more trials. I want him to get his head down and concentrate playing football at Hastings, let the football do the talking. Because that's another thing I've realised. You've got to have the arrogance in, no, let these lads go and play men's football, develop as footballers, and then if you want them, meet the asking price.
And how old are these guys?
Well, Tom's 18 now. Yeah, he's 18. But he broke in. He started getting around the first team 2 seasons ago now, and as a 16-year-old lad. Ben Ward was 16 when he went to Burnley. So Chris trusts young players. There's no, going back to the old hat thing of old people at the top. Well, if he's not played 150 games at this level, then you're not going to pick him. No, he throws them in there and bloods them in. And there's a couple other youngsters coming through right now. I went and watched our 19s play against Eastbourne Town on Saturday. I was so impressed because they're up against men who have a bit more guile about them, about the dark arts, and know a bit of game management. But they were competing, and that's great to see. You don't expect them to roll over a good Eastbourne Town side, but to compete, that's fantastic. And there'd be 1 or 2 of those players in and around that will benefit from being in that environment, and hopefully will either make it into Hastings United first team or go on and go on up through the leagues and go and play professional football before we get to professional football, because that's the aim. We want to be a professional football club. We don't want to be, with all due respect, an Ishman South East club. Sure. And that's where the tag favourites could be a pressure, because if we don't go up the leagues, it's very hard to be a professional football club.
Sure. So if anyone's watching, any viewers watching this, all they've got to do is get in touch with the club and come bring their children down, girls, boys. Yeah, like, it's not, people use the word academy and go, well, for 16 to 19-year-olds, there is an element of elite player. It's an elite player programme, right? But from school kids down, all the way down, bring what we want. We want to embrace children. Like, they have to be the best footballer in the world. If they want to play football, there's got to be a place for them to play football at Hastings.
I think people think, oh, because it's an academy, it must be very like you got pick players, and no, not at all. It's an embracing environment. We want people to play. We want people to grow. And I'm happy to say it. I think we pay our coaches in the academy. We pay them, so we don't take subs of parents and then put it into the bank. We use that to pay our coaches to deliver a certain level of coach.
Yeah,
I think it's very important.
Yeah, very important.
And that's the development that we're growing, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next thing for me is not having girls have to go and play mixed football with the young lads, but having girls teams.
Yeah, well, funny enough, I was going to go on to the ladies. You got your start. I don't know if have you started a women's team or have you had one already?
Yeah, so when I came in,
it's the woman's mission statement. So what's that?
So okay, so I'll go back to the start. When I first came in, I did a Q&A, right? And there was two things I said. They were my first two points of reference. I said, I'm going to change the kit back to claret because we're Hastings United, and Hastings United wear claret. Big cheer in the room. And I said, also, we're going to have a women's team. Another big cheer in the room. And I was expecting, I didn't expect, I was always told, no one plays women's football, Bill. You'll struggle to get 11 girls. Other clubs have tried it. Not going to happen. It's like, not even that. We're doing it. So, and it's something I'm personally attached to because I want it to be successful and I want to attract good players to play, very much to mirror what the men are doing. I want to attract those players.
Sure.
So we announced it. We set up a trials for the summer. We had nearly 30 girls turn up.
Wow.
Brilliant. But also on top of that, I went out and done a lot of scout. Personally, went out and scouted. So I went and watched a lot of women's football before the curtailment. So from this, I think from literally October, November, December, January of 2019-20, I went and watched a lot of local teams and looked at players, start scrimming down and knows who they are and trying to find their number because there's no real that's another thing. Yeah. There's no footage at that level, so it's really tough to find who the players are. So I spent a lot of time, got a lot of headache for it, but I went out and done it, and we went and recruited. We had a bit of luck. A girl called Sophie Reed, who played for West Ham for 10 years, moved to Eastbourne to teach. We ended up recruiting her. Funny enough, a fan of Eastbourne United tipped me off about her, and then she came and played for us. So we brought her in. We brought in a goalkeeper through one of our coaches that we brought in originally, a girl called Sophie Bridston, who was a Crystal Palace goalkeeper. So I wanted to get those announcements out early to tell people, well, we're here. We're here. We're not.
And you're doing it properly.
We're not pissing about. We're here. We're going to have a go.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the quality of girls that came along was fantastic. I went and signed a young girl who locally was probably one of the best footballers at her age, a girl called Izzy Payne. She came in as a 17-year-old, she's 18 now, it's been fantastic for the club. And now she's got a scholarship, so she's going off to America in the summer. It's great for her. But that was the whole thing, was we're going to take this seriously. We're going to treat them with respect. So we went, they got what the men got. So if the men get tracksuits, the women get tracksuits. If the women go to away games, if the men go to away games and coaches, the women go to away games and coaches. If the men get to train somewhere, the women get to train there. So we tried to replicate as much as possible. Sure. There's been a lot of hurdles along the way. There's been players come and go, it's just natural. The quality's gone up over the year. We've attracted even better players over this maiden season. But we've also been winning games, and we were getting FA Cup. We had 300 people watch women's football, and Eastbourne Town women's, who are 2 leagues above, probably get 10 people watching play. Wow! Because we're marketing it. We're giving it the platform,
it's
right?
All about marketing.
Yeah, it's the platform. It's treating these girls with respect. So going back to the mission statement, we were doing all this, right? We're doing all the marketing, putting out the games they had online, posting it on our Facebook pages, our Twitter pages, our websites, and treating it like it was exactly the same as the men. Every time I made an announcement, we signed someone, it was treated exactly the same. But I don't think people realise what we are doing. So I thought, do you know what we're going to do is we're going to put it out there publicly, our commitment to it, and then we've got no hiding space. So if we go out and do this right now, if we don't deliver, then it's on my doorstep. Yeah. And I'm happy. And this is another thing. People can say, oh, Billy does this, or Billy tries to do that, or it's too much, and it's too it's bloody, it's step 4 football, and he's doing all these reveal like videos where he's spending money on like smoke machines and stuff for the shirt, because that's our ambition, right? People can say all that all they want, but I thought, you know what? I put my money where my mouth is and do what I say. And with the women, it's like, right, equality. We can't pay women at step 7 football, which essentially is park football, the same as step 4 Ishmael League. We get 1,000 people, men, we're getting 1,000 people through a door watching them, and we're getting 300 through the door. Can we look after those girls with that 300? Well, it's about 100 for league games. 100 people coming through the door. Yeah, we can, and we will.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, excuse me, I think with regards to the mission statement, it's we are going to invest more time into women's football. We want pay equality around men and women, and that happens from the women going up the leagues and the men going up. It's going to take full due respect to women's football. If we get it right, we can go up the leagues a lot quicker. The men, it'll take a bit more time, I would say. But there's no reason why we can't aspire to be in the Women's National League / Women's Championship, and the men get into the National League and go, actually, the budget there isn't too far off there. It's not equal, because let's be honest, every player gets paid a different amount of money. So you sit there and say equal budget, but we all know in the run-in you might spend a little bit more. You might, this player, he wants an extra, let's just say £100. Oh, well, go on, let's make it happen. You're over budget. We're making more from the gate, don't worry about that. So I don't want to sit there and go, it's complete pay parity, but I want to work towards pay parity. And that's kind of it with the women's thing.
Just, you said about a new stadium.
Yes.
So is there going to be a new stadium for Hastings United, or because it's a great ground? It's an old-fashioned ground. It's a beautiful ground, and you could probably do a lot. I don't know if you can do a lot with that ground or what. I don't know.
But it's a lovely old ground, but it always comes down to money, Gary. Right? And I think you could easily just waste money. Like, we all want millionaire owners to go and spend their money, but the return value on that isn't there. The return with Hastings, we've got a project. Long before I joined the club, there's been a project for a new ground, right? Which, you know, has been heavily pushed by former chairman David Nestlin, who's still involved in that project. So he still consults and still part of that. And we are very, very close to the line. So when I first came in, I was kind of not overly involved. I kind of let the owners get involved. But what we've done with the club is, by connecting it to the community, the relationship with the council and with the locals has changed. So I've been involved probably a lot more in the last 18 months in that project. Just making the councillors not fear the project, in the sense of, look, it's a great project for the town. The club's led by someone who, even though I wasn't born there, I consider myself from Hastings. I wasn't born, but I was bred in Hastings. In my head, and you know, all my friends from a young age are still all my friends in Hastings. Never lost my pals. And I think this project, which we're so close now to getting over the line, very, very close. Obviously, local elections are coming up, so councils have to go into Purdue, so they can't actually do much. But we should get planning permission soon. Once we get the planning permission, for me, it's all systems go. There's a lot of technicalities that had to be worked out, and I think sometimes you've just got to nudge people a little bit. And I think the council, knowing that someone who is leading the club is, and don't get me wrong, Darren and Peter, by the way, even though they're not from Hastings, they both love this football club, like love it, and they put so much money in time. It can't be said enough about time, money, and commitment that they put into Hastings since they bought the club. A lot, right? And some of it probably wasted, and some of it well invested into hopefully a new stadium. But we know how it is in local councils. They fear outsiders, naturally. So I think myself coming on board and showing what I'm about, and quite transparently and openly, and talk about the club and talk about the town, and I've done a few things for local charities in the town, and I'm currently trying to set up a foundation with a local mental health charity at the moment, which will be fantastic. I think they see that I'm not going anywhere, and me and the owners are working out something at the moment to make sure I go nowhere, right? And I think that's a very important part of what we're trying to do. The council don't want to build a stadium that they're scared that when it's done, everyone rides off into the sunset and there's a new stadium there with someone coming in and hasn't got a clue how to run it.
Yeah, and it's got to be for the community as well.
100% it's got to be for the community.
Always.
And I think for us, the community use is so valuable because it's not. People can go, well, all that's going to do is benefit Hastings United,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Naturally, they're going to think that because Hastings United on the side, it's whatever. But there's two things with that. One, Hastings United doing better will be better for the economy of Hastings because not only will we be attracting fans, but hopefully us being successful will put more eyeballs on Hastings as a town. What we're trying to achieve hopefully makes Hastings more attractive to people coming down here, not just buying, but buying a property or even coming down for a weekend. But just, I don't know, let's be frank, Burnley, no one knows about Burnley as a town, city, whatever, without the football team. No one goes, say Burnley, yeah, Burnley in the Premier League. They don't go, oh yeah, Burnley, great, it's great for, that hard working, working class mentality in the mines or whatever. Like, I'm pretty wrong with that, but that's not what it's thought of. It's thought of as a Premier League football team, right? It's got a stature to it. That's what I want to bring to Hastings, really. And on the other point, community use. We're making sure it's there for the community to use, right? I've gone to every team, because we're going on to existing pitches. So I went to every team that plays games on there right now and said, even with better facilities, like 3G pitches, with better change rooms, with a bar there to use after games, which we know like local Saturday teams love, right?
Yeah.
And also, you can come watch the games as well.
Yeah.
If you've got an early kick-off. We're not going to charge you 1 penny more than the council will charge you right now. That's our commitment to the men's football, like the ones that play it right now, and for the kids, it's about making it financially feasible for other youth teams to use, right? Yeah, will Hastings Youth, excuse me, 2 seconds. Oh, I spoke so much, Gary, I'm dying here. Will Hastings, our youth academy, use the 3G? Of course they will, naturally. But we'll make sure there's uses for other youth teams in the area.
Yeah, of course.
There's some great teams around the area. You've got your Hastings Wanderers, you've got Sedleskin around the corner, you've got Hollington on the doorstep. They should be able to use the facility. It's important that they do. And I think what it is, you're going to have people not want you to do it because they're scared that Hastings are going to go and be massive and they're not going to be part of it. Or they just genuinely, I genuinely think some people fear success. It's easier to just, like you say, stick where you are, sit in the bubble. Oh, you can't do that. Or, well, that's Greenland space, you can't do that, and rah, rah, rah. But what do? Do we, as a town, Hastings, for the last 25 years, sit and deteriorate in sporting facilities, which it has?
Yes.
The town's lost its cricket ground in the centre for Prime Meadows shopping. They put it up the road, but failed to secure county cricket. So they lost county cricket, and they've got this, which is a bit of a white elephant, the cricket ground that was built, what must be in 1996. It's sit there, it probably has its own problems financially, and that's now moving out of the town into Rother, into Clavering on the outskirts. The football pitches have got worse. They've got rid of some of them. St Leonard's have gone bust, right? For, like I said, I don't know, I think it was a minuscule amount of money. Looking at the reports from the court judgment, things have gone like that. This is an opportunity to go, right, no, let's go back up.
Pick it up again.
Let's do this. We've got no full-size 3G pitches in Hastings. A town the size of Hastings not having one full-size 3G is an absolute disgrace. And this is an opportunity for the council, for us as a football club, and for locally us to deliver something.
Definitely.
They want us to put one 3G, we said no, we're going to put 2, and what we're going to do, we're going to spend more money and make one of them gradable for Step 5 football, so the local teams could potentially go up the leagues too.
Sure.
Now that's a commitment, and we're not asking any local teams to put their hands in their pockets, we're going to do it.
Sure.
That's a commitment, right?
Definitely, 100%. Well, we've come to the end of the show now, Billy, and I just hope everybody out there has learned about you, about you, mate, and what Hastings, and about Hastings United and where they're going as well. So I really do, once again, thanks for coming on my show and talking about what we've been talking about tonight, and I found it really interesting. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's been absolute fantastic, and I just hope people can stay in tune, watch what Hastings are up to.
Well, we'll have you back in before the season starts.
Yeah,
we'll get you back in, and and even get Chris in as well, and we'll all have a chat together.
I'll drag him in. That's
no
all right,
problem.
Don't worry about that.
Well, that's been the Gary Pascoe Show. Well, thanks very much for joining me tonight, and stay safe and keep an eye out for the show on our media platforms. Thanks very much. Good night.